Hi, everybody. I'm Martha Seelman. I'm the Executive Director of Studio Art Quilt Associates. We go by our acronym SAQA or SAQA. And we are one of the four organizations that jointly organize and produce these textile talks brought to you every week for free. And so SAQA, along with Surface Design Association, the Quilt Alliance, and the International Quilt Museum, are delighted to bring you these textile talks. And we're really excited because next week is going to be the 250th textile talks. 5 years of bringing wonderful fiber art and textile art to you every week. We have a special request for you, which is that you let us know what was your favorite episode. We've done so many different kinds of episodes, and we'd love to hear from you. If you could call the Quilt Alliance storyline at 828-338-9651 and let us know which episodes you really enjoyed. And then we'll be sharing the results of your favorites next week as part of this celebration. So that number, 828-338-9651, is going to pop up in the chat momentarily. And if you're not sure, well, wait, which ones did I see? There are two places where you can find a whole index of textile talks, all 250. One place is through the SAQA.com website. So if you go to SAQA.com/textile talks index, there's a searchable index, and you can search by names, by subject, by keywords, and find the talks that you really loved. And the other way is to go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, search for textile talks, and look for one that says view full playlist. And that will give you another way to just refresh your memory. What was that one that you really enjoyed? We'd love to hear from you. Again, that number is 828-338-9651. And I'll bring it up again at the end of today's talk. So today we are very fortunate to have a wonderful trio of presenters. So Teresa Duryea Wong, who is an author, lecturer, and historian, will be conducting an interview of Cecilia Koppmann, who is an internationally known quilt artist and teacher based in Buenos Aires. Clementina often works with her teaching and doing other things, and she's also the technology guru. So she'll be helping out and also talking a little bit about some of their projects that they did together jointly. Sit back and enjoy. You're going to be on a wonderful trip through some incredible art.
Thank you so much, Martha, for that nice introduction. And I'm really excited to be with these two ladies here this afternoon. And so Clementina Koppmann lives in Canada, and she is a graphic designer. And she's partnered with her sister on several different projects, most notably a project about the quarantine and during the pandemic. And she's going to come back in a few minutes at the end of this talk, and we're going to talk more about that project at the end. So next, I wanted to introduce Cecilia Koppmann. And Cecilia is an internationally recognized artist. Her quilts are just incredible. She has a truly unique voice and a very modern aesthetic. She is based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And Cecilia is also a teacher. So she also she teaches all over South America and Europe, and of course across the United States and many other countries. So throughout her adult life, Cecilia has relied on quilting as a way to sort of Wait, Clemmy, it looks like the slides are going forward. So maybe you want to back up. It looks like they've moved several slides forward. So I was just going to say, throughout her adult life, Cecilia believes the art of quilting has rescued her and helped her cope with her mental health and improve her outlook. So first, in 2001, Argentina faced a massive economic crisis, and quilting helped augment her family income. Um, and again, Clemmy, I don't know what's happening, but the slides are still moving forward. So maybe you want to stop and start the share again. I'm not really sure. In 2008, Cecilia was diagnosed with colon cancer, and quilting really helped guide her through many life-changing decisions. And then, remarkably, again, cancer struck in 2012, and this time it was breast cancer. So I first became aware of Cecilia's quilts more than a decade ago when she was featured at a special exhibition at the International Quilt Festival. And a few years ago, my friend David Owen Hastings and I began researching um, some of the early modern quilts that influenced the modern quilt movement. And we chose this quilt that you're looking at right now. This is a detail of the quilt Eclipse as one of the 10 modern masterpieces that helped influence the modern quilting movement. Then in 2003, Cecilia and I finally got to meet in person, and we have been connecting and talking ever since then. So she's going to share her story with us today, and we're going to show you many of her beautiful quilts. So, Cecilia, so nice to be with you here today.
Oh, it's so nice to be here too, with you, Teresa, especially with you and Glemmy and all the people that are there. So thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. It's going to be great. So let's start out with Buenos Aires, where you live. Tell us a little bit about your studio there and the photos that we're seeing, and also just a little bit about the culture of Argentina. It's not a mecca for quilting, so it's really an interesting story that you have taken up the art of quilting.
Yes, well, Buenos Aires is a beautiful city, objectively. It's
Yes.
huge and it has a really rich cultural life. We have a lot of theaters, a lot of museums, art galleries, and a lot of bookstores, and beautiful. And yeah, you don't expect to find a lot of quilters here, but now the community is growing, so that's great. We don't have any quilt shop, for example. So I needed to start dyeing my own fabrics, and but that will change, I suppose. I hope.
Yes. I'm sure it will with your influence. So let's talk
Thank
a little
you.
bit about, the healing power of quilting and textiles for you. So, as I said in the introduction, really the first time I think that you turned to quilting and textiles in such a powerful way came in 2001 when Argentina had this massive economic crisis that had a big impact on your life. Talk a little bit about your decision at that time to turn to quilting and opening a business and what that did for you.
Okay, in 2001, as you said, there were a huge crisis, financial crisis in Argentina, and we sold our house in May, asked my mother to move with her. We are five. We had three children at that time. Now they are men, two cats. And yeah, so because we sold our house, I asked my mother to move with her for a couple of months so we can find our dream house. And she said, okay. And we moved. And then my husband lost his job. And then this incredible thing happened that the government allowed the banks to keep all the money from the bank accounts, so the saving account. So there went our house
Your
and
life
all our
savings.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah, huh?
yeah,
Yeah, and our house, because we put all the money of the house we had on the bank in the bank. So
yeah.
that was terrible. And so I started to make quilts for a high-end shop that a friend of mine owned, and also making some quilts for the clients of some architects friends that I had. And without realizing, with the help of another very good friend, she encouraged me to go to wholesale fairs. So I started making these things that we are that Clem is sharing to sell, and so my business became a wholesale business, and that's, I think that was the first time that quilting rescued me. And additionally, sorry, I forgot to tell you something, that additionally, I went to, I started teaching in a channel that, oh, there,
A TV program, yes.
a TV program.
Yes.
I had a small segment for teaching quilting, and that, I think that helped a lot to make the community grow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you were on
That
this
was,
television program for more than 10 years, right? This was a program that
mhm.
it was a crafting TV program that originally aired in Argentina, but it was so successful it spread to other countries in South America and other Spanish-speaking communities. Even in Miami, it aired for a short time as well.
Yeah, and then Fox bought that channel, so I think they were in the whole United States. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And you told me that you once had a friend who was in Miami. And tell us that. That's kind of a funny story about you being on television.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, my husband has a friend that he had to work in the States for a while. So he went there and he couldn't sleep. So he turned on the television and suddenly I appeared. So he couldn't believe I was there. So
It
that's
is
a
very
funny
funny.
story.
So,
Mhm.
this really kind of grounded you in how to teach the art of quilting as well, right? Because you're basically teaching this on television.
Yes. And I had to teach like Bargello, for example, in 7 minutes. And
Yes.
yeah, it was amazing to see people that send me the pictures afterwards. And I couldn't believe they can do it after 7 minutes of explanation, but they could.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay, so after you were running this business for quite a while, being on television, beginning your teaching career, then you had sort of a huge kind of medical crises, personal crises when you were diagnosed with colon cancer. And after some time passed, a little bit after that diagnosis, you made a big change in your life and decided to dedicate yourself to making art rather than the commercial pieces that you're making. So tell us a little bit about that and how did that decision help you mentally and with healing?
Well, at that time, our family, we and my husband and I were on our feet already. So, yeah, I was shocked. My grandmother and my father died because of colon cancer. So I really thought I was going to die. And I didn't want to die before proving myself that I can be an artist because I always wanted to be an artist. So I closed my business and I started to make art quilts. And this one is one of the first one I did after the diet, well, after all the treatment.
Yes. And this one is called So Quietly. And tell us a little bit about this is a very special quilt. Has a lot of your culture as well. Tell us a little bit about the sort of the what this means and how this idea came to you.
Sure. Yeah, I named it So Quietly, and it's a sentence of a poem written by Jorge Manrique. He was a Spanish 15th century poet, and the poem is called Kansas for the death of his father, and he talked about his father and his father's death. And if you want, I can read you a small part of the poem. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
please do. Yeah.
Sure. So arouse your sleeping soul, revive your brain, wake up, and you will see how life goes by so fast, how death creeps up on us so quietly. So there's the title of the quilt. And then later in the same poem, it says, the pleasures and delights this weary world bestows hold us on thrall. They are but passageways, while death becomes the trap in which we fall. We do not stop to think of danger on the way. We run apace, and when we see the trick and when to turn around, there isn't space.
So
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah. And
It
so
is.
tell us how you translated that ideas into these, these pieces so quietly falling down.
Okay, I think that all those pieces that are falling down are us, all the people who, they was born in small groups or big groups, I don't know, but kind of the same color or the same circle. And then the life goes by. And at the end, we will be all mixed up and horizontal. That's a little literal, but it's the way I see it.
It's just so beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
how do you think making this particular quilt kind of, and the others, that if we can go forward, we'll look at some other ones too, because you've just have this incredible output of art quilts that continue to astound me. They're just so beautiful. So talk to me
Thank
about
you.
this is the Tower of Babel, another one of my favorites. How did becoming an artist and expressing yourself as an artist help you heal over and over?
I think that if you do something that really passionates you, put your mind in a place that you don't think of about ugly things or dark thoughts. So that's really important, at least for me. And I think that when I let myself go, I just work on what I love. And if I let myself go, then I don't know, something's happened with the, I think that unconsciousness emerges. So after I make the piece, I can see what was going on. And it's kind of relieving. Relieving?
Yes, a relief. Yeah, yeah.
Relief, thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's such good advice for others, right? In that by focusing on the art, you can sort of help keep these dark thoughts away. Is
Yeah,
that something you would say as well?
yes, of course. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
And this
that
gorgeous
happens.
quilt is a recent one. This is from 2022. And this quilt was on view at Houston last year as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it's really great. So then
thank you.
you were hit after the diagnosis of colon cancer, and you're now becoming an art quilter and teaching around the world. Remarkably, you were also hit with a second cancer diagnosis, and this one came in 2012 when you were diagnosed with breast cancer. So that must have been an incredible shock. And tell us a little bit about how you felt when you got that first, the news of this second cancer diagnosis.
Okay, I was really, really surprised, of course, and shocked. And I said to my doctor, I can't believe how unlucky can I be. And he said, no, no, it's you. It's like you are keen, you are good at getting cancer. Oh, okay. Thank you
Gosh.
for that. So, so I was really angry, and because of the other experience, I thought I was going to die. I knew that I have no time to waste. And the first time I went to I had to go after surgery, I have to make 37 sessions of radiotherapy.
Mhm.
So in my first session, I had to wait for 2 or 3 hours. I got nuts.
Yeah.
And I couldn't escape. So I had to do that anyway. So I thought, I love play games. I love it. And so I thought maybe if I can make like a game with this, it will be better for me. So I started the game that, and I put my rules. I have to pick new piece of fabric each session that I would embroider. I would number the fabric, then embroider inside out. And the rule was, one of the rules was, I can't start at home. I only can embroider at the waiting room. So I can't start before, and I can't I couldn't stop. Sorry, I couldn't go on embroidering after the session.
So you had, so
So
let me just say, recap. So you had
sure.
37 appointments that you knew were at least scheduled for radiation. And so
Hmm.
you decided to embroider one block each time that you were there. So you didn't start until you got to the doctor's office. And when you left, that was, the time was up, right?
Exactly. That's why there are the ones that we are looking at, they are incomplete.
Yeah. And this was not just a game. I mean, tell us how this completely changed your mindset when you were doing this embroidery, waiting in the doctor's
Well,
office.
yeah, sure. It started like a game and also as a record of what was going on. It was like a temperature quilt. Um, so another rule I put to myself was to post every morning the embroidery I did the night before. So I received a lot of encouraging comments in the blog. It was a blog at the time, and yeah, it helped me a lot because the first week I was really angry with all the waitings, and then I was so into the embroidery that I wasn't angry anymore. And what was ridiculous was at the end, I I let other people go ahead of me because I really wanted to keep on embroidering. So
You
yeah,
wanted to
that's
keep
ridiculous.
working on it. It was such a
Yes,
positive force for you.
yes, it was. It was.
Yeah.
And then, so at the end, I ended up with 40 blocks. I went there from Monday to Friday, so had 8 weeks, so 8 rows of 5 blocks each.
Hmm.
And you can see there that there are two that doesn't have a breast. The first one, I forgot to bring my fabric that day. So I just put the threads when I came home. I put the threads on top of the piece of batting, and that was it. And this one, I had the skin red, so they couldn't make it.
So your
And
skin was too irritated, so you couldn't
yes,
receive radiation that day. Yeah.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this is a
And
beautiful
then
cave facet print many people will
yes,
recognize.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then there were another day that was a national holiday, so I put our flag colors on there, yes. And 2 days after that, the machine was broken. So I put a piece of fabric, like I cut it and and sew it again. So I ended up with 40 blocks, which was easier to this to lay out. And the
Yes.
last one, I made it at home because I wanted all the laces be perfect for
Yeah.
mhm, with a breast
And so it's a real
cancer symbol.
diary of your treatment, as well as something that really helped you kind of pull through this.
It is. And also finishing the quilt was a kind of shut the episode
Oh,
to close
ending the
that.
chapter, like closing the book on a
Yes,
different
yes,
chapter. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And so how would you sort of give advice to people that are going through similar things, how to think about a project like this or
Well, I think that going with a project that it's a daily project, it really helps because Yeah, it really helps. I think that a daily project gives you like a goal and also a record. And it's not the same if I don't know, I love knitting too, but it wouldn't be the same if I was knitting a sweater at the waiting room, you know, because at some point it becomes something mechanical. So you will start thinking about ugly things. Instead, if you keep a record or something new every day, you have to be creative all the time. So that keeps your mind out of those dark thoughts. I think
Yes.
that you can do whatever. My other sister had breast cancer too, and she decided to go to the radiotherapy project. Sorry, not the radiotherapy, but when she went to the doctor to make the treatment, she took he took a picture when she was going there and took another picture when she was going back home. And she did that every day.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of ways you can sort of
Of course.
document the journey and turn your mind toward art. Yeah. But you were also sharing this, right? You were not even doing this in isolation back. This was the blog days. So, and you got a lot of feedback. How did that really help you?
Well, the people is very important in this kind of situations, I think. I love being around people. I like people.
Yeah.
And so it was really important. The people part was really important. That's why one of the rules was to post it in my blog.
Yes.
And yeah, it was so nice.
That's really great. Well, let's go forward, Clemmy, and look at some of the others. So you, after that, kind of continued on this theme and thinking about health and breast cancer. And tell us about this particular quilt and how this one came about.
Okay, when this happened, I started making, as you said, I started making some other quilts related to breast, but this one doesn't relate only in the with the cancer, but also with the other things related to breast, as maternity, um, sensuality, and all the things that come to my mind when I think of breast, and all those, I don't know, there are poems or sayings about breast that I write it on like a quilting writing, you can see. So
Like a journal or a diary almost, right?
yeah, but so I call this free associations. That it's something that when you go to the psychologist, they can often um, make you do that.
Oh, yeah, it's something from therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, so interesting. And then we have another one too that I want to show. So talk a little bit about this one. It's titled Until Reaching Clear Margins, which I'm sure most people are familiar with. Cancer, either treatment or surgery. It's not clear until the area around the margins are clear. So they will, keep removing skin or whatever the treatment is needed until there's no more cancer seen. So that's what that means. I'm not sure I described that perfectly, but talk to us a little bit about this particular quilt and what this represents for you.
Well, it represents exactly what you said. So they took a part of the breast until they found clear margins, and it was a call for entry. There were an exhibition about breast cancer, and well, I put some, as you can see, a lot of layers in one of the breast and some and go down on the other one. And yeah, that this is one of a series of breast cancers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So really, you're just continuing your journey and, sort of celebrating your survival, but also looking clearly at women's health and all of these things that you've experienced and sort of translating those feelings into your art. And that also must have been a way to sort of help your healing after all of this was done. And here's another one. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Okay, I'd rather talk about the other one, the
Oh, which one? This
tic-tac-toe,
one.
if you
Yeah,
don't mind,
of course.
because okay, because tic-tac-toe, it's in Spanish is tatetí, but if you change the syllables, then you say tetita, which means little breast. So that's kind of a joke about this one, and then I can talk about the other one if you
Of
want.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's similar to the first dress I
Uh-huh.
made
Uh-huh.
with a technique of shibori. I like to dye, as I mentioned before, I love dyeing fabric, so that was a dyeing session,
Beautiful.
and I made this one.
And then I think we have some other art quilts here too. So let's go forward and look at one or two of those. Um, so this one is another one that turned out to be a healing quilt for you. This quilt is absolutely stunning, Cecilia. So this is called Grief, and you made this quilt after the loss of your best friend and a friend that you're still grieving today. So tell us how this helped you heal to make this art.
Well, as I said, I when when I feel sad or well, this time I felt really sad, and I went to my studio. I was already making this quilt, but suddenly I found myself cutting the pieces and inserting black strips, but it wasn't because I thought, oh, I'm sad, I'm going to put some black strips. It just happened. If you let yourself go, this things happen.
Yeah.
And
So you had already made these long strips. These are all silk fabrics,
yeah,
and then you sliced them open and inserted these black lines going through it.
exactly. And my mother used to say, um, the fabric talk to you.
Yes. It's a beautiful, beautiful sort of art quilt, but I can just sort of see your thought process too of having to go through this kind of
Mhm.
grief. And I think we have one other one after this. Here's another one that's called Scars. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, the pain, it's always there, I think. Uh, Not as strong as the first moment, but the scars are still there. So this is kind of it's a cousin of the grief one,
Yes, very
I
much a
would say.
series. Yeah,
Yeah.
a twin maybe. And these again
Hmm.
are these beautiful silk fabrics of
So,
yours.
hmm yeah, I
Yeah.
love to combine my hand-dyed cottons with silk.
Yeah. So now I want to sort of go forward a little bit in time. And Clementina, if you want to join us here again. Then after all of this, the world changes. The pandemic hits all of us, and many, many, many of our lives have changed. While most people were under quarantine and a lot of people wanted to just like hide from the world, you kind of did the opposite and started reaching out to the world. So tell us what you first did in the early days of the pandemic.
Okay, because I usually don't do many traditional blogs. I thought that I can replicate the radiotherapy project and make one blog a day until
Mhm.
the pandemic is over.
Because in
That
the
was
beginning, we
naive.
thought it would be 3 weeks or something, right?
Yeah, or 15 days.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
Argentina, they say, oh, in 15 we were all done.
yeah,
So, because I knew that by the other experience, I knew that this will be really helpful for me and for other people. And because I like to be around people. I decided to make one blog a day and share it in Instagram and Facebook if is there anybody there that would like to make the blocks with me?
Yes.
And as Clemmy said, "Mm, careful what you wish for."
Yeah.
So a lot of people joined, and it was great. It was great. So at the 30th day, I stopped making blogs. So I taught one day, one blog a day during 30 days. And then we stopped making blogs because there were a lot of people that I thought that was the first time they did this. So I taught how to join them, how to sew the quilt together, how to make the quilting and the sashing and the binding and everything. So they
And you weren't
can,
just teaching simple, I mean, you weren't just teaching the block. I mean, you were posting how to make the block and how to piece them together. And all of this work helped you in so many ways, and as well as you were helping and connecting other people. But talk about what it did for you personally to be this busy every day.
I was really, really busy. I started at very early in the morning and prepare my fabrics and make my first make a block so I can see if it works. And then I took pictures of the step by step and post it on Facebook. And then at 3 o'clock, I have to dress up. I have to put my necklace on and everything, and explain to other people who were in the live session how to do. And we saw together the blogs, and it was incredible to see all those people connecting every single day at 3 p.m. So for me, I think that for me it was better than for the other ones because
Yeah.
I received a lot of really nice things from that.
Yeah.
And it was great too because I asked Clemmy for some help for the graphic part. But then we ended up collaborating in the project and we talked all every day. And well, I can let Clemmy talk.
Yeah, so you two collaborated and expanded the project. Talk a little bit about that, Clementina. What did you guys do next?
Okay, so one of the things that I always loved about how Ceci behaves in her class, I think she always kind of creates community, I don't think she needs to, but it just happens. It's just so nice to be around her. And in the same way that, the way she was describing how she did the, um, the breast quilt, that every day she marks the beginning and the end of something. When she teaches, she goes by the school year where she has students that are with her from March to December, and at the end of the school year, she always has a party, and she every year since she started teaching, she asks the students for something, and then with that something, she makes a collective quilt. And so these are a couple of examples of collective quilts. Like in this one, they brought fabric, and this one, each student brought a house, and Ceci put them together. So all this just to say, when she was doing the quarantine quilt, I said, why don't you ask for something so that that you can have, so that everybody can be together in a piece, right? Because they felt that there was a togetherness and so much love going on at from 3 to 4 in the post. So that was one of the things that I pushed Ceci to do, and she said, yeah, sure. First she was saying, well, but I'm not really teaching, well, they're not really my students anyway. She ended up doing it, and it was fabulous because the little house. Quilt came from that, right? So Ceci was receiving all these, 2.5 by 2.5, Ceci, 4 by 4.
4 by 4. 4 by 4.
I think if you show the
block
big
house.
one, it might make more sense,
I
maybe.
should go there first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you asked all the participants. You had over 650 people who wanted to participate, and you asked them to send in a small block house, right? And you had contributions from 26 countries.
Yes.
And each of these little houses was 4 inches by 4 inches.
That's right.
Yes.
And then
So
people mailed them to you, Cecilia. Then what happened?
Yeah, I opened the mailbox.
Yeah.
So every Monday I went to the oh, how do
Post
you call?
office. Yeah. The
Thank
post
you to the
office.
post office. Yes, thank you.
That's
So
okay.
every Monday I went to the post office to see if I received something. I remember the employee there. He said, "Oh, when I grow up, I want to be like you," because once I had like 60 letters. So when I come back home, I did that every Monday. So when I come back home, I used to open those letters and cry and cry and cry because they come. All the houses were beautiful, and they came with really moving letters.
Yeah.
Some are really sad, and some are really, I don't know, they were really moving.
Yes.
So
And then
yeah.
you guys put together the quilt, and because you love people, you put together a group of people in Buenos Aires, and we have a video of this that you invited to come and help you put the binding on the quilt. Talk, and of course you love being with people, so lots of people joined you. So you guys, both of you, Clementina and Cecilia, can explain this to us.
Okay, yes, when I finished the quilt, I didn't want to sew the binding alone, so I invite people to come to the park. It's a beautiful park, and the contagious were decreases, the cases decreases at the time. So yeah, we put some tables and chairs over there, and you can see all the women sewing the binding, and they are wearing these necklaces with small balls. They are textile necklaces because that was a part of the project. They asked to do that, so the commitment was you can do. I can explain how to do it, but the commitment was to do it with make it with the leftovers of the quilt,
Uh-huh,
and
scraps,
also
yeah.
that they will, yeah, with the scraps, and also with they have to wear it when we finally meet.
Oh, yeah. And so that
So
at
there,
the end of that video, we're seeing all of the quilts that they made from the blocks that you taught in the early days of the pandemic.
exactly. Hmm.
Yeah. And then we have
Sorry,
one.
sorry.
Yeah. Do you want to show the next? We have another one where you kind of took the quilt out on the road. Here's you and Clemmy.
Yeah, we were in Uruguay because with Clemmy we say that we would like to bring the house quilt, the collective quarantine quilt to every country that participate. So we brought it to Uruguay in that February, and there we are
Yeah.
trying to hang the quilt.
And then you put this project online. Clemmy, do you want to talk a little bit about that so that the people who made the blocks could participate as well?
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm not a quilter. I am starting to quilt now, but I'm not really a quilter. So my contribution to the project was I wanted to feature all the women that participated. So we set up a document where people could upload their photo and their little house their sewing corner and their quilts and so we created a digital quilt that was in Houston in 2020. So this was what it was in Houston in 2020, and the way it's set up is you can either see all the houses there that each one represent one of the quilters, and when you roll over, you see the little house that they submitted, or you can see it by country. That's Argentina, that's Mexico, uh, that's more
Very
Mexico,
cool.
uh, Chile, and then if the person actually made a quilt and filled it out, then this is what you would see. You would see her picture and
So
her
their
quilt.
story as well.
And their story, yes, because in the when on every day when they got together, we could only see Ceci, but you could really feel how, like, you could see how they were talking to one another. It's like they probably want to meet. They want to see what they look, what each other looks. So that was the idea behind the digital
Yeah.
press.
Yeah.
Originally, it was going to be a book, but it was going to be too thick, so we ended up doing
So what a
a
great
digital one.
project that you guys did. And I'm just so proud. And you've taken this all over and you have big plans for taking it to many more places. Um, but I want to just move forward because I want to make sure we leave time for questions because I know we have so many people online and so many people around the world know and of Cecilia's work. So Cecilia, just tell us last thing, what's next for you? What's coming up in the future?
Okay, what's coming up? Well, I'll keep on teaching my to the guilds and my regular classes. I'm also a SAQA member, so I hope I can participate more in the calls for entry. And yeah, and keep on working on my art.
Yes, and you'll be teaching in Houston at the International
I'll be
Quilt
teaching
Festival this
Houston.
year.
Yes,
Yeah,
and at France in September, then to Houston. And next year we'll see. I already have an invitation from Costa Rica and probably to Australia. We'll see.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Well,
All right.
now
Thank
we'll turn
you.
it back over to you, Martha, to handle
All right.
questions.
Yeah, this has just been such a wonderful quick look at the different kinds of series that you've worked in over the years. And one of the questions, because so many of our audience are makers themselves, they wanted to know what is your preferred method for making your quilts? So clearly you're doing piecing. And there was a question about whether it's paper piecing or not. And then are you also using applique when you're making your quilts?
Well, I have some with applique, not as much as piecing, but yeah, I like to improvise a lot. So I usually start like improvising. I am inspired by the fabric, so and the colors. So I put all my fabrics and colors on the table, and then I start cutting and piecing. And at what point I stop, put all those units in the design wall and start thinking about the quilt,
Mm-hmm. One of
what
the
the fabric say to
yeah.
me.
One of the things I found so fascinating was how you seem to turn to quilting to process all kinds of different events in your life. And it was just came through loud and clear how for you creativity is sort of what keeps you going. And that was just such a beautiful message to have along with your wonderful art. Um, there's another technical question, because there's not, if I'm correct, there's not a lot of fabric necessarily available in stores in Argentina. So that's why you started dyeing your own fabrics. Um, how do you acquire fabrics? What kind of dyeing processes do you use? How do you determine which colors you're going to be working with in any particular project?
Well, I dye because I love dyeing. So I usually don't dye for a specific project. I just dye and experiment with color. I studied a lot because I'm interior designer.
Mhm.
And I also studied color with some artists in Argentina, visual artists. So I start by dyeing, and
Mhm.
then when I have all my stash there, I put some colors on the table and start working. I don't know if that
Mhm.
respond.
So it's an intuitive response to the colors you have. And are
Yeah.
you dyeing both silk and cotton?
No, I only dye the cotton.
Mhm.
Silk is really silk comes in beautiful colors, so I don't need to dye them. And also it's quite expensive, so I don't want to I don't want to ruin any centimeter of fabric.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that certain events in your life draw you to making things that are more representational or more abstract? Because of course you make both.
Yes, but no, I think that I like to do more abstract.
Mm-hmm.
I made some I made some representation ones, but no, I like abstract better.
Mm-hmm. And your breast cancer series involved a lot of embroidery and embellishment, which I think was because you were limited in what you could carry to the treatment center. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. But most of your work, you prefer just the piecing and sewing and quilting sewing. Yeah.
Yes,
You,
yes,
you
that's
like to
true.
work big if possible.
Yeah, I always try to start small, but I can't. I really can't. Difficult.
Well, it's been wonderful to hear from you, to hear from Clementina, to your quarantine projects are just wonderful and very inspiring. And I just thank you so much for sharing today. It's been a real treat for us to see what you create.
Thank you, Martha. I can't believe I'm talking to you right now because I mentioned earlier that I knew you well. The first time I went to Houston, I heard a lecture, and it was wonderful. A lecture that you did
And that
there.
was
So
way back, like more than a decade ago, right?
Oh, yeah.
much more. It was
Yeah.
2009, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So
when-
I'm really, really happy to be with you today. Thank
oh,
you
well,
for
thank you.
inviting me.
Yeah, and now you're teaching at Houston and in France and Costa Rica and all over the place. So it's what I mean, and your work demonstrates how what you do individually then can reach out and inspire so many people. And I think everybody who's here today is leaving feeling very inspired as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I want to encourage everyone who's watching today that you join us next week for the 250th Textile Talk, 5 years of Textile Talks. And we'd love to hear from you about which episode really has inspired you over these 5 years. Please call and leave us a message in the Quilt Alliance's storyline, which if you're in the United States is 828-338-9651. Lucy will put it in the chat box again. We'd love to hear from you. You can see all 250 episodes on YouTube. Just search for Textile Talks and look for view playlist or view full playlist, and that will pull them up. And there's also an index on SAQA.com/textile-talks-index, textile-talks-index. And you can search that by name, by medium, by a variety of different keywords. And just it's a wonderful trip down memory lane for all 5 years of Textile Talks so far. If you enjoy Textile Talks, we hope that you will help to support us. Putting on these episodes is an expensive proposition. We couldn't do it without our sponsors, and we couldn't do it without donors like you who give to Textile Talks online. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, Teresa,
Bye.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Clemmy. Bye.